Sure, thank you. Um, I also want to thank Liesel and the Boulder Bookstore for having us here today. Um, we, really need support as local authors from local bookstores, and so thank you for that. And thank you, all of you, for coming here today to support us as well. So I want to just tell you guys about a couple opportunities that sort of led me to write this book, Brisko, A True Tale of Holocaust Survival. Back in the summer of 2009, not quite the summer of '69, but still a really cool summer, I was afforded the opportunity to go to Israel for free on a trip called Birthright. So if you are of Jewish heritage, there is an organization that raises money to send people to Israel so they get to experience the country and see it for themselves, and it's a really fantastic opportunity. So I jumped on that opportunity, and I flew over to Israel, and for 2 weeks I got to experience that country. And I knew that on my way back I was going to another opportunity. I had just started writing professionally, and I was going to launch my first children's book. And it was about a building shaped like an elephant in my hometown of Margate City, New Jersey. And the book's title is Elephant, Elephant, Come Alive. And, it was a really cool little book, and it was fun to do. So I was looking forward to that after my trip, because that was going to be the launch of that book. So I had an experience when I was in Israel that really kind of enhanced myself and kind of challenged me going forward in, what direction was I going to bring my writing, and what direction was I going to bring myself. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with Yad Vashem, but it is the Holocaust museum in Israel, and it is, if not the best, one of the best Holocaust museums in the world, appropriately so. Part of what makes this museum so incredible is the architecture. When you walk into this building, there's a giant, long, narrow hallway with a tiny point of light at the end of it. And the whole hallway is roped off in a way that you can't just walk down the hallway. You have to go to a room on your left, and once you're through that room, which is full of exhibits and these horrific photos and stories of what happened in the Holocaust, you come back into that hallway. But you can't walk down the hallway to that pinpoint of light at the end because it's roped off again. And so you have to go through this journey through the museum. And in that way, it's sort of transformative in itself. And by the end of it, you're very tired. There aren't any benches, there aren't any chairs, you can't sit down. And you're sort of forced to take in all of these horrific things that happened to several groups of people during that time. And of course, being in Israel, it does focus on Jewish people, but there were a lot of other groups of people that suffered during the Holocaust. And the museum does talk about that as well. So what's really amazing is after you get through these rooms and you're finally at the end of this hallway, you get to step out onto this huge stone platform, and it's an observation deck. And what you see out there is, it's Israel. It's the country of Israel. It's a huge open country, and what it is, it's a promise to the Jewish people that they never have to experience what you just walked through and saw. So that was a really powerful thing for me. Immediately after that, they took us to the Children's Memorial, which was another powerful spot. And basically what that is a room full of mirrors, and it's dark, but there are candles. And so because of the mirrors, the flames of the candles, they're infinite. They're just all over the place, and each flame is supposed to represent the life of a child that was taken during the Holocaust. So after that experience, something inside of me said, okay, you're going home and you're going to launch your children's book, and that is fantastic. What's the next step? Where are you going to take your writing? And the answer was that I needed to talk about what happened in the Holocaust, and I needed to talk about it to children. So fast forward, I'm back in New Jersey, and I'm at my book launch, and there's a woman who was a friend of my grandmother's, and she brings her little daughter up for me to sign her children's book. And this woman happens to work at the Holocaust Center at Stockton College in New Jersey. And I tell her that I just went on this trip to Israel. I was very inspired to write something for children about the Holocaust. And she said, well, I think I know somebody that you should talk to. So she gave me the number of a woman who lived in Florida and Atlantic City, and she spent her time in both places throughout the year. So I called Laura, who is this woman, and she was in Florida at the time, and she said, well, come on down to Florida and interview me. So I was kind of nervous, you know. Who was I to go down there and interview this almost 80-year-old woman about these horrific experiences that she had? Well, I spoke to a friend about it, and he said, don't worry about it. Bring something to remind her. She's not going to want to open up to you. And so I said, okay, well, that will be easy. Where am I going to get something that is going to remind this woman of her horrible experience? So I did what anybody else from my generation would do, is I went to the internet, the all-knowing internet. And I started snooping around on the Yad Vashem website. And I found a series of photographs that are actually in the book of the farmer and the farmer's family who actually hid the survivor on his farm. And it blew me away. So I could only imagine what it was going to do when she saw them. So I downloaded the photos and I flew down to Florida. I think it was February of 2011. And I get there, and the first thing she says to me is, what can I make you to eat? You need something. You look a little peckish. And so I was just really blown away by the fact that she was so normal. You know, I had expected this person to be just like a wreck of human life after having gone through something like the Holocaust. But it was really amazing to see that she was joking. She was laughing. She was a Jewish mother. She wanted me to eat a sandwich. And so I told her I wanted to start our interviews, and she said, well, I did a video a couple of years ago, and I want you to just watch the video. I don't want to speak. I don't want to talk about it. And I said, okay, well, why don't you take a look at these, and then maybe we can have a conversation. I showed her these photos that were on my computer, and she started crying. She had never seen these photos. She didn't know they existed. And she just started opening up in ways that she hadn't in years. And I spent 3 days with her in Florida, and that was the beginning of my research for her story. And it was just, it really changed my life. And, you know, I wanted this book at that point to be the same kind of vessel that those photos were for her, but I wanted it to be for the new generation, the next generation of young people. And what I wanted to transport to them was this idea of what the world could look like if we don't practice tolerance and if we don't learn to love each other on this place, this small planet that we all inhabit. And that was kind of my mission when I set out to write Brisko. And that's how it all happened. But I want to see if anybody has any questions for me before moving on.